Hi everyone, welcome back. Before we begin this podcast, we want to remind you that we are not giving out legal advice. This podcast is meant merely for fun and education reasons. Also, nothing that we say or do today is affiliated with our respective law firms. So, enjoy.
So this is the Creative Workshop series by Humane Studios. And we're back for episode 2.
Episode 2 already? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay. And again, I'm Sarah. And then this is Harneet.
I'm Harneet.
Yeah.
And today we're going to be talking about copyright law. But we're not going to get into everything because as we've been talking in the past, copyright is way too vast to conquer one episode. So today we're going to be talking about the 3 elements of copyright. Well, technically it's 2, but we'll break it down to 3. And we'll dive into that and explore the basics of copyright today.
Yeah.
So
Let's start.
Let's start. Yeah.
What are
okay.
the 3 elements?
Okay.
Or 2.
the 2 slash 3.
2.
So first, a work must be original, and then it must be fixed in a tangible medium of expression. And to fully understand those elements, we're going to break today's podcast down into 5 sections. So the first section, we're going to talk about what is an expression versus an idea. The second section, we're going to talk about what is a fixed work. Then we're going to talk about what is authorship. And then we're going to talk about originality and minimum creativity. So those are the 5 sections that we're going to be talking about today. And we're going to start right off with tangible forms of expression. What does that mean? That is a mouthful.
Yeah. Tangible forms of expression.
Yeah, what is that?
Oh, okay. So it's basically what we talked about in our first episode, but we're going to get a little bit more in-depth, nitty-gritty. So basically a tangible form of expression is not an idea, okay? That's the simplest way I can put it.
Okay.
Is not an idea. So let me think of an example. Like, if I had a song in my head and I was just like thinking of it and I was like, oh, I have like a really good idea for a really sad song.
Yeah.
And it's in there and it's floating and I have a melody and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is definitely going to get people to like feel some type of way. Like, for sure.
Yeah.
And then I tell you about my idea and I'm like, honey, I really just want to put everyone in their feels. I have a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, a couple months later, one of my favorite artists comes out with the song that I had in my head.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, my God.
That's your song.
They stole my idea. Yeah, it's not. Because it's just an idea. It was just in my head.
It was just an idea. You never expressed it. It was never in any sort of tangible form.
Me even telling Harneet is not expressing it. It doesn't count.
Yeah.
Because I never actually expressed the idea itself. So that's the real thing, is expressing the idea itself.
Yeah. And I think there's a big difference between what is an idea and what is an expression as well. So for instance, like, what if I'm just like reciting facts and stuff? Like, is that an expression? Is that an idea? Can I copyright facts?
No, you cannot. Actually, we'll get more into facts later on when we talk about originality and stuff. But
that's true.
Reciting facts is not. You can't do that. It's not. You can't copyright that. I mean, you can recite facts, but you can't copyright that.
Well, like, what if, so like we're having a conversation on a couch and I'm yapping away about how I'm writing a happy song, we're only using.
See, she's happy.
Yeah,
I'm happy. Sad. I'm like, I want everyone to feel things. She's like, let's just be happy.
Meanwhile, I'm like, life is great right now. I couldn't be happier right now in life. So I'm like, happy song.
Okay.
Yeah. We're writing a song with just the white keys, no black keys, because if you know anything about music.
Major.
Yeah.
That's
right. We're not talking about the minor keys. So now, no matter how much I talk to you about this amazing song, no matter how much I express to you that I have this amazing happy song, you're telling me that that's not enough. I can't just tell you about my ideas.
No, you have to you got to put it on paper, or you have to sing it and record it. It has to be not in your brain, basically.
Fixed. So you're telling me the voices in my head.
What do you mean by that? No. Yeah, the voices in your head are not.
But there's so many. There's so many of them.
I think we should discuss that further.
I was kidding. I have a certain style in which I like to sing and write. And although no one really knows my style, but you might know like Kendrick's style or Dr. Seuss's style.
Thank you for bringing this up. Okay, style. Okay, thank you for bringing this up.
Yeah,
because I will also get heated about this. Because again, let's talk about AI. Even though we're talking about copyright, we're always going to bring up a little bit of AI because that's just where we're at now. But style. Okay. So basically we talked about ideas can't be copyrighted.
Yes.
Well, like what about the style? Can that be copyrighted?
Aesthetic,
Is that
vibe?
Like you're saying, you're gonna sing a song like Kendrick, like
K Dot in the house.
exactly, exactly. So if Honey here raps and it sounds exactly like Kendrick, and she's like puts it out and she's like, "Isn't this amazing?" And then some people are like, "Dang, this literally sounds like Kendrick's flow." Like, is this Kendrick? And then she's like, "No, this is all me. This is all me."
Straight hard money on the mic.
And then Kendrick's like, "Wait a minute. Why did she just steal my style? This is my flow. How did she take it? It sounds exactly like me. Let's pretend it doesn't sound like Honey. It sounds like Kendrick." Okay.
What do you mean I sound like Kendrick?
No, she
Y'all
doesn't.
haven't-
I've heard her rap. No, she doesn't. She's got bars, but she don't have the Kendrick flow. Okay. With respect and love.
We'll get there.
We're getting there, though. Okay. So essentially, scholars these days are saying that the idea of style can now be quantified. So let me break that down. Where essentially, like, you'd hear a song and you'd be like, that sounds like Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Or if I say, like, a Studio Ghibli drawing, you would know exactly the vibe I'm going for. And you've probably seen people put up those AI drawings of, like, them in Howl's Moving Castle kind of thing. And you're like, I see what you're doing there. Or, like, the Simpsons thing, where it's, like, it's clearly in the style.
Yeah.
But, like, how would you explain that? Because in order to, like copyright something, you have to put it on paper. You have to, again, it can't be an idea or, like, a intangible thing. It has to be on... People have to be able to, like, see it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, perceive it.
Now I'm confusing myself. But
it's complicated because, like, style is very much... Some people can say, oh, this is a style when it's, like, actually a parody.
Yeah.
Or they can be like, it's a style when they actually are just ripping off the work.
We'll get to that one in a second.
So, I mean, I think the line with style is very, very hard. And I think there was, like, a Ninth Circuit case about this, about Dr. Seuss. I was going to say a beloved author, but, you know, it's just an author from our childhood. Yeah, it's a very prominent author from our childhood. Beloved, maybe.
The books are good.
Yeah. Well, you know, you read them when you're older and you're like, oh, were they really that good?
Debatable,
but that's not what we're debating now.
Yeah.
But somebody had written, like, a Dr. Seuss-esque book, and they were like, oh, like, I think it was called, like, The Cat Not in the Hat. I think is what it was called.
Yeah,
so it was actually, it was more of a parody.
Yeah.
And they had very similar, I think, characters, the same type of rhyme, style, colors.
Same drawing, illustrations.
Same drawings, illustrations. And they were like, court was like, you can't do that. And they were like, no, but, like, this is style. Like, and style's not copyrightable.
You can't copyright. And they're like, well, actually, okay, you can't copyright style. But as I was saying, scholars today think that we should be able to copyright style because they're basically saying if AI can recreate someone's specific style, AI has the ability to essentially, as I said, quantify someone's specific style. So you take essentially whatever the code or whatever, because I don't really know exactly how computers work.
Yeah, we're not engineers.
But that's not my...
Yeah, one step away from that, I guess.
Yeah, I have friends who do that. I call them. That's not me. But essentially, you take whatever data that AI like uses to recreate that, and you're like, listen, this data is essentially like Taylor Swift style.
Yeah.
So then you could copyright that data and be like, look, it's now protected.
Yeah.
So that's one thing like scholars are saying is a way we could protect people.
Yeah. But I think with the Dr. Seuss, like they were like, you crossed the line. Like this isn't style. Like,
they said, you just straight up
you're just copying, ripping things off. So I think a lot of people like, so for instance, you know, if you want to be like me and, you know, write a good K Dot song, if you're taking like his bars
from the block. If you take his bars.
If you take his bars, if you take his
you take the
music,
underlying beat.
Yeah. All of that, like you're no longer at style. That's not style anymore.
If she just takes his song and she takes the beat and then she like puts a different flow on it.
Yeah.
She still took his song.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can't get around being like, listen, I might have like, you know, been influenced by their style. If you actually took stuff from them, like straight up just took it.
Yeah, you can't do that. No. So currently right now there's no laws that say style is
copyrightable.
Like, yeah. Like you can steal from someone just because it's the same style. But maybe in the future, scholars are arguing that, listen, if AI can figure out what someone's style is, it's so distinct to them, and that is their expression. Because like that's another key line, right? It's like expression. Like if someone has like a very, very like I was going to give an example. But again, it's like, it's so hard because it's like someone can be like, this is my style, this is my expression. Like everyone knows that this is associated with me. You can't take it from me. But again, like it's such a fine line.
It's a fine line because then it's like you get into genre.
Yeah.
Okay, this is again we're back on track here with tangible expression. Is a genre is like an idea, a concept.
Yes.
So you cannot copyright a genre. You don't be like, I own all of rap. All of rap is mine now. She doesn't
copyright it at all.
She doesn't own any rap.
Not a single song yet.
No, not yet.
Yet.
Album coming soon.
Oh, I'm dropping a rap album. That's going to be my first
SoundCloud.
one? Oh, SoundCloud.
Yeah.
So I'm a SoundCloud rapper.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know.
If you know, you know. So yeah, genre is like one of those things where it's like it's an intangible idea where you cannot copyright that.
Yeah.
But if you make a specific rap song, you record it, you write it down, there it is. It's no longer an idea. It's a tangible thing.
Yeah, and we keep tell me a bit more. You said write it down.
Yeah. Okay, now
I think we're talking about the fixation word now in the elements. Yeah. Tell me more about that. What is that?
Okay, so your tangible thing, it needs to be fixed. So essentially, it needs to be written down. It needs to be something you can see, hear, experience with either your eyes or like through a machine. Or basically, they want to keep the line of idea, and now it actually exists in
the real world, not just not the voices in my head.
Yeah, not the voices in your head. Like if she writes down the voices in her head in a script and it's a play, now we're set. You can copyright that.
Let's go.
Yeah, she can use her mental illness for financial gain. So that's a good way to do that, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, wait, but okay. Let's say I put on like a dance recital, right?
Oh, dance.
Yes, dance. We don't talk enough about dance and copyright rules. I put on a little dancey dance. You know, what is that copyrightable? Like,
well, see again. Okay, this is why people get annoyed with lawyers, because I'm gonna be like, it depends. It depends. So if you put on a dance performance, the dance performance itself is not copyrightable unless like you're recording it. So the recording of the dance would be copyrightable. Or if you like say went and wrote down exactly step by step what your dance move was going to look like, you mapped out the choreography, the positions, whatever, that would be copyrightable. But like if you just got up here and started like dancing and there was no cameras and it was just me and her lovely tech guy here, it would be not copyrightable.
Boo.
Yeah.
So if I like dance right now though, while we're being recorded,
this is copyrightable.
Let's go.
So
I'm not gonna get a performance today, y'all. So
maybe next time. We'll rap. We're gonna dance. We're gonna hit everything.
We're trying to do all
creative. It's creative workshop. That's what this is.
But one of the reasons why this matters so much, and this is actually gonna be the topic of next week's podcast, is how to register your work.
Yeah.
In order to register your work, you have to actually turn something into the copyright office.
And you're like, what do we turn in?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
The copyright office is going to just, know that I'm dancing on the streets and be like, there you go.
Big copyright. We saw you down the block.
Yeah. We had a sense. Spidey senses went off.
We're pretty sure they're out there dancing. No, you need like, a tangible fixed thing. So, okay, we're going to also...
But does it have to last forever? Like,
does it have to last? Okay, this is a great question.
Like, what if I make a beautiful ice sculpture of you,
put
it up in my house?
It should last forever. It's gorgeous. I want it to be memorialized.
But it's summer, and unfortunately, it melts real fast.
Okay, so yeah, again, fixed. If you make an ice sculpture, can it be copyrighted? I'm about to be annoying and say it depends again. It depends again. Okay, so if you make an ice sculpture, and we're standing there, we're all watching it, and it's just us in the room watching this ice sculpture, no, it cannot be copyrighted. But if I take a picture of it, that picture is copyrightable. Or if I have like the detailed plans, or if I drew the ice sculpture before, that would be copyrightable.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about like I'm on the beach and I make, I don't know, heart in the sand, and then a wave comes and like in a millisecond washes it away.
No.
What now? No?
I mean, if you took a picture of it.
In a millisecond? I'm not that fast. I don't even know if my camera's that fast.
But again, it depends, because like the courts have said like on the timing, it's case by case. Because there's been some cases where they've been like, because again, they start talking about data. Yeah. And when it gets to data, it gets a little complicated because like with computers, everything's so fast. Yeah. So essentially, they do case by case. So there's been some cases where something's been fixed for like, I don't know, 5 minutes or something, and they've counted it. So it is in murky water, but for ice sculptures, I'm just gonna say the answer is probably not. Probably not. Take a picture, take a video of your ice sculpture melting. You could do that, or maybe don't make an ice sculpture. Maybe find a different medium.
A different medium. Yeah. So when it comes to that, like, first element, right? What we're talking about is, first you got to determine, is it an idea or is it an expression, right? Like, can you even copyright the thing that we're talking about here? And then, is it fixed in a tangible medium?
In a tangible medium.
Which, again, it's like when we said there's only 3 elements, you're like, oh, that's so easy. Why do we need lawyers when
you have things like ice sculptures, or the notes app on my phone where I wrote down all of my
lyrics or your ideas. What about that? Okay. So I was gonna write this very, very happy song in my life, right?
Yeah.
About how
happy you are,
blessed and happy I am. Yeah. So,
manifest.
So I was like, I heard this podcast and I was like, oh, I need to protect my ideas. So I pull out some paper. I get a pen and I'm like,
you're like, let me fix this.
I'm like, I'm writing a happy song with no minor keys. Sick flow. It's gonna be amazing. Boom! It's on a piece of paper. I can hold the paper. That's it. Have I expressed it? Is it now? Do I now have a copyright on this song?
You're telling me you're writing down the words? I'm writing a happy song.
I wrote down. I used this conversation that we just had. I just wrote down. I'm writing a happy song.
Oh, you're not writing the song itself.
No, I'm writing the idea. The idea that I'm gonna write a happy song. Doesn't count.
If you were, for some reason, wanting to, actually, I don't even think you could copyright that. I don't think, if you wanted to, say, turn that into a work of art and just a little screenshot, put that up, and it's your notes, and it's like, this is what the notes of an unhinged woman look like, and it's an art exhibition, that could be copyrighted.
Yes.
But you saying, I copyrighted the song that I wrote the idea for, like, I don't.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
You can't be like, I have a copyright because I wrote down at some point that I wanted to write this song. It's not gonna work.
That's not how it works.
No.
So when we say,
so write the actual song. So if you're gonna write the song, just sit down and do it.
Yes, So just because you put something on paper and it's tangible, that does not
and it's
mean
fixed, doesn't mean
you
have to actually
do the thing that you were saying. I actually write down lyrics for the song, or I gotta write a melody or something. And we'll talk a bit more about this a bit later, but like writing down one chord, that's not sufficient to be like, boom, shakalaka.
But do write stuff down, because like, we'll talk about this later more, but like with blueprints for like houses and stuff, like, can you copyright a house?
I don't know. Can you? We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
It's crazy. Did you know your houses are copyrighted? No, I'm kidding.
But like, make sure you have the plans and stuff, because again, when you want to turn stuff into the copyright office, you're going to need like proof that you have done it, or that there was plans and, sheet music.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's basically a little bit about element 1. We're going to talk about authorship next, which is not necessarily an element of copyright, but it is very important to understand.
Especially if you like to collab like we do.
Yes. Very, very important to understand. So you don't end up in a sticky situation.
Where you hit up your friend, you're like, hey, let's start a podcast together. And then one of you works on the script. No, I'm just kidding.
One of you does nothing.
It was actually her. She wrote the script.
That's not true. Although she did get a fortune cookie yesterday that said she needs to do more.
I need to be better at planning. And then her cookie was like, live life more. And I was like,
crazy.
Targeted.
Crazy.
Switch cookies right now. Me, a calendar. Crazy.
Me, always on the go and doing things. Never. Not accurate at all. Not accurate at all.
All right, authorship.
Authorship. Okay, so before we even get to the types of authorship, right, let's talk about who can be an author. And we talked a little bit about this last week with the monkey case and AI. But in case you didn't catch that episode, which, what's wrong with you? Go watch it.
Yeah. Self-promo. So can my cat be an author?
Listen, Soup, that's her cat's name. Soup could take over the world.
She could.
Soup cannot have a copyright in anything.
That's crazy.
Which is
diabolical. Yeah. Dare I say.
Don't tell Soup that.
Yeah.
Soup
that might cause issues. She'd be the next one in court. PETA on her side, like for the monkey.
Exactly.
I think they would defend her fiercely.
The only people that can have copyrights are human beings. So if, I don't know, a pig grabs your phone, runs out into the middle of the field, and somehow captures a selfie,
Doesn't
the
work.
pig cannot copyright the
Pig death for
selfie.
the pig.
Same thing with AI. We talked about this again last week, so I won't go too in depth again.
Yeah.
But if something is made truly just by AI without any human input, then it cannot. You cannot file that and get a copyright for it.
Yeah.
But if there's some human level of involvement, then you can, because at that point it's kind of like a tool. Again, there's a scale, right? It all depends.
It's a very
it depends.
mushy area.
But same thing, right? The same argument can be made, like if for a camera, for instance, right? So if you could argue, I think people did argue once upon a time that like, oh, a human didn't take the picture, the camera did, therefore you can't have a copyright. But it's like, okay, well, the person's the one that
all the work.
is setting up the camera. You have to, change the exposure, change the time, all these things that you're doing to the camera, right? Using it as a tool. That's, where you're able to be like, as a human, I control the process, and I'm now able to get a copyright for this picture that I've created.
That makes sense. Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
So you remember I was talking about the ice sculpture?
Yes.
Okay, let's say that like I'm this like fantastic artist, obviously.
Yes, obviously.
And I want this ice sculpture like captured, and I'm like, honey, do me a favor, take a picture of this for me. Who has the copyright of it then?
Ooh,
Of the picture, not the ice sculpture, the picture.
That's a tricky question, right? Because,
Yeah.
We're going to get into this. Is it a work made for hire? Is this an employee-employer contract? Is this just two buddies that are
doing
like,
me a favor? Because we're friends and you should do me favors. Because I would do favors for you.
There's levels to this,
There
right?
are levels to
But
it.
if we're going to break it down to just, I'm borrowing a tool from you, and I'm
It's
doing
my camera.
Yeah, doing everything, and there's nothing else in this scenario, right? Borrowing a tool from someone doesn't mean that you have a copyright in that thing, right?
So if I gave you like all of my art supplies,
yeah,
and I was like, you're broke. And I'm like, here, yeah, I had to say that. I had to throw that in there. You're broke and you have nothing. And I'm like, you can borrow some of my art supplies. And then you make, because you're artistically not broke. You have such creative talent.
Thank
and you
you.
make this
Thank
beautiful
you.
masterpiece. And
Thank
I'm like,
you.
yo, but that's all my stuff. You couldn't do that without me. Then what?
Well, technically, all I did was use the supplies. And again, if there's nothing in here about employee, contractor, and all that kind of jazz, using someone else's tools does not mean that you then own the copyright, right? I'm the one that did all the work. I'm the one that created this fantastic piece. I created this fantastic piece, sold it for millions of dollars in Miami last weekend at an art festival. And now I'm no longer broke.
Okay.
People.
Let's say
rich.
You are rich now. In friendship. Okay, let's say I hire you, and I'm like, I'm not good at art, so I need someone who has that mind, has that vision. And I'm like, I start telling everyone I'm good at art, but I'm like, I need to hire somebody to like do this for me. So I'm like, yo, Harneet, I'm gonna pay you, paint this for me, but don't tell anyone you painted it.
Oh, it's like a little bit of a ghostwriting situation.
So what then?
Well, it depends. I mean, what does our contract say? There's levels to this.
It is levels.
And that brings me to the different types of authorship that you can have, right?
Okay.
So you can have like a solo authorship, which is just one person does all the work. You can have a joint authorship. You can have a collective authorship. And then you can have work made for hire. So let's break these four things down a little bit more, right?
Okay.
Solo, that's pretty self-explanatory, right? It's just you create a work, you register it, you own all the rights to it. Simple. That's the simplest one that you can have in terms of who is the author, right?
I'm tracking.
Then we have joint authorship, and this one's a bit more murky. This is when you have two or more people who get together and they have the intent to create one combined work. And why this is so complicated is because the intent part, right?
Yeah.
When did we have the intent?
When did we decide that we were going to get together and make this?
And what is a combined
sculpture?
work, right? So there's a lot more to this. And what does it mean, right? So let's say we're working on a project like this podcast.
Yeah, like this podcast.
And we have the intent to create this work together.
I hope so.
Yes, yes. Yeah. And we're working together. We're working on the script together. We're brainstorming what we're going to say, the jokes we're going to make.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're scripted jokes. Clearly,
Banter.
not off the cuff at all.
No. We thought ahead.
Right. So, but let's say I did 95% of the work. And you did 5% and, provided snacks while we were writing this
Entertainment, my sparkling personality,
yes.
my apartment,
but
my dogs.
all of that, right? Even though, let's say I actually did do 95% of the work and you did 5% of the work, right?
It's not true.
It's not true.
It's not true.
None of the quips that we've made so far today about each other are true.
Yeah. Right.
95% versus 5%, right? You still own 100% though. Once we get this copyrighted, you still own 100% of the copyright.
That's right, guys. I did 5% of the work, and I own 100% of it. Oh, I said
unless there is a written agreement that says otherwise, right? Like you own 100%, and everything's split 50-50. So any money that we're making from this podcast, we will be splitting 50-50 unless there is something in
we wrote
the
that
contract that says
on a notes app or something.
Otherwise. And because you own each of us owns 100% of the copyright, we could both do whatever we want with the copyright without having to get permission from the other person. And this is where it gets dicey because I can be like, all right, I'm going to take clips from this podcast and put them out. And there's nothing that
she's gonna take clips of
I
just
license
me.
this out.
She's gonna put it out there.
I can't give anyone an exclusive license to run this podcast, but I can license it out to other people. And there's really nothing that you can say.
Please don't do that.
Because be a good friend
and ask me.
This is why having a contract is so important. Having things in writing is so important.
So get a lawyer.
Yes, this is why you should definitely get a lawyer. But so that is joint authorship, right? It's like when you both have the intent to
and on the intention
work.
On the intention, this is also important. We'll talk about this case later on because it's kind of like a foundational. Anyone who does copyright, they bring this case up, but the intent is important because you have to actually want to do it. Because at some point, someone basically was working on a phone book. If I don't know if you know what that is, I feel like such an old person saying that. When I first learned this case, my professor was like, "Oh, I don't know if you guys know what phone books are." I'm like,
I don't think some people will know what a phone book is. But basically, I've never seen one. Have you ever seen a phone book?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I have.
Yeah.
I when I was younger, definitely.
When I was younger too. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a phone book after the age of 7.
I'm like, are they extinct? Or are they at libraries? I don't know.
They used to drop them off to the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
They're massive. So basically, before the internet, if you wanted to look some phone number up, you couldn't Google it. There'd be a giant book, and you'd have to flip through it, and it would have everyone's phone numbers. Which, when you think about it retrospectively, is kind of crazy because you could call anyone. And why was it just in a big book? Okay. Sorry, back to it. So essentially, one company made a phone book, and they did all the hard work. They went around collecting everyone's number. And then another company who, had a phone book, but for, the wider area, was like, can we borrow your information that you made? And they're like, no. And then they're like, cool, we're going to do it anyways. So they took it anyways and then put it in their bigger phone book. And then they're like, why did you steal that? And they're like, we did it together. It was a joint authorship. We worked together. And they're like, wait, no, we didn't. So that's why, again, intent is important.
Yeah.
Because you can't just be like, we did it together.
Yeah, you have to have the intention of creating the work
together.
And it has to be a combined work. That's another key component of it. And you can kind of see the difference when then you talk about the second type of authorship, collective works, right? And what that is where you have multiple people, right? 2 or more people that come together to create a work. But it's not... So think about a magazine, for instance, right? It's where everyone has their own copyrighted work that they then submit to a magazine company to then arrange and put out editions of it, right? So let's say, I don't know, let's say Vogue is running this new magazine spread and they want people to send pictures of their dogs in the most stylish outfits, right?
You know who would...
Ziggy would kill. I'm not gonna lie. Ziggy is Sarah's
she wears
dog.
Shirts well.
She does. And Mimi though, to be honest. Yeah, Sarah dresses her dogs.
Do I look like the person who does? Yeah,
100%.
It's true.
The socks tell us everything we need to know.
This is endorsement.
But let's say Vogue puts this out, right? And everyone's submitting pictures of their dogs, right?
I would submit photos. So if I take photos and submit them,
well, this is also assuming, right? And I should very much make this clear. Where there's no legal writing here by Vogue.
No contract that you clicked when you entered.
Yeah. Because yes, Vogue will definitely have a contract, but in this hypothetical, they don't, right? So they're just like, hey, we're putting out a magazine of stylish dogs. Send us your pictures, right? Vogue then gets all these pictures and they put them all in their magazine. They edit the pages, how to lay out the pictures. So
glam. I can imagine it already. I'm like, oh,
right. It
stars,
actually would be
models.
a great idea. It's a great idea. Vogue. Let us know. Hit us up on this amazing idea. But so Vogue owns the copyright to the magazine, right? What the way that they arranges the pictures, what page everything is on, right? Like the entirety of the magazine they own. They do not own the copyright to the individual pictures of the dogs themselves, right?
Okay.
So the people that submitted it, they are the ones that own those pictures and the copyrights that go with it. Unless they give them up to Vogue, which I'm sure, if this is a real hypothetical, Vogue would have a contract that says, yeah, you're licensing this and we can use it and da-da-da-da-da. But in this very clean hypothetical where it's truly just Vogue, like send us some pictures, you still own the copyright. So let's say Ziggy, you send a picture of Ziggy, and Vogue is like, dang, Ziggy is the cutest dog
she is
on planet Earth. This picture is going to blow up. We're going to just start making T-shirts with Ziggy's face on it. We're going to start mugs. Like, everything is just... Vogue puts out a whole collection of just Ziggy.
The Ziggy collab.
And you're like, excuse me, I didn't give you the right.
Yeah, because I'm going to be the first one to do that.
Yeah.
For the record.
You're kind of give you the right to put Ziggy's face on a shirt, right?
Yeah.
And so you can be like, excuse me, Vogue, I would like to
please
have you take all this stuff down. Now I'm going to sue you and get money and blah, blah, blah. But the point here is that this is different than joint authorship, right? Joint authorship, whoever is part of it owns 100% of the copyright and they split the profits.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes
Collective is where you continue to own your copyright. You're giving it away for a different purpose, and that person owns the magazine where everything is kind of laid out and arranged, but they don't own the underlying work.
Got it. That makes sense.
That's a very key
Me acting like I
difference.
didn't know that.
Did you know that? I should do a pop quiz. Is there a pop quiz later today?
Is there?
Maybe. There might be. But some of the things that you might see for collective works are, for instance, encyclopedias. Magazines are definitely one of them. Blog posts, things like that. Those are collective works where people
atlases.
Own atlas.
Fun fact: atlases are that.
Are atlases that?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I was like, I did not know that off the top of my head, but if that's what you're saying, sure. Then we'll talk about work made for hire.
Work made for hire.
So this is where we get into a bit more complicated area, right? So there's three things that we're going to break this down into. First off, are you an employee? Are you a contractor? And then who owns the work?
Got it.
So very, very simply, we can just talk about if you're a contractor, right? So a contractor is just an independent party that comes in, creates a work, sells you the work, right? So in the creation of that work, right? And again, if there's no contract or anything, right? They're the ones that own the copyright to the work, right? They're the ones that created the work. It's very clean cut and simple. They own the work.
So basically, if let's say I'm a famous magazine editor. I'm just basically saying my dreams of what I want to do. This is the different life paths I can take.
Yeah.
So I'm a famous and everyone
well known, yes, well known and adored.
Yeah. And then Harneet is also a famous photographer. Beautiful, excellent. I see the vision coming to life. So I hire her as a contractor because she has her own business, her own stuff, everything. She's independent. She runs her own stuff. And I'm like, can you come take photos? I want to put them in my magazine. That's an independent contractor, right?
Yeah, and then I sell you the work to put in your magazine. Yeah. Very much similar to the kind of collective work that we were talking about earlier.
That's independent.
So the only way that a work can be made for hire for a contractor is you have to meet these two elements. The first is that you have to have a written contract that is signed by both parties, that this is a work made for hire. And two, it has to fall into one of the 9 categories that are in the act, right? So they're like very obscure things, though. Atlas is one of them, actually.
Oh, Atlas!
Atlas is one of them. Maybe that's what you're remembering.
That's what I was thinking about.
So like a collective work, movie or audio visual, like that also falls into it. But things like songs, they do not. Photos, paintings, these are all things that like do not fall into the 9 categories, right? So even if you have a written contract, right, like you're like, I want to work made for hire, go paint me this, we both sign that document and I make this painting, right? It doesn't count because it's not one of the 9 things that are defined in the act.
So you're telling me I can't have a magazine and have you as a photographer? It has to be an Atlas?
For the work made for hire. I mean, again, this is like different contracts that you can put and stuff in as well. But it also depends on, am I an employee or am I a contractor, right? Okay. So in a world where it's just a contractor, and we'll talk about the distinction between an employee and a contractor.
Yeah, because I feel like that gets
But if
confusing.
it's just a contractor, it has to be written, signed, and it has to be one of the 9 categories. Otherwise, it is going to be like the person who makes the work, they're the ones that owns the work.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So in this situation, I think I said that I would be the one that owns the copyright to the pictures, collective work.
Yeah. Okay.
So then you're on the other side. So contractor all the way over here. The other side is employee, which is also very clean cut and obvious, right? So if you're working for...
You're either one or the other, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're working for, let's say, Disney, right? And Disney's like working on a movie and you're one of the animators on the movie, right? Disney owns the copyrights to the movie. Like you don't own...
Disney also owns like everything, so...
yeah, literally everything.
Dang.
So you don't own the rights to what you're doing at work, right? When you are at work, everything you're doing at work is your employer's. So again, very clean-cut distinction. Now, there's 2 murky areas, right? The first thing is, did you create something in the scope of your work, right? So let's say you're an animator for Disney, but you're creating an independent project at home, right? And you release it. It's a short on YouTube. It does really well, very successful. And Disney's like, oh, wait a minute, that's ours.
We pay you. You're an animator who works for Disney.
Yes, like that's our work.
Even though you did it in your free time.
Yes. And so this is where then the argument comes up of, like, did you make this in the scope of your work with Disney, right? This independent movie that you made outside of work, can Disney claim ownership to it? And there's a lot of factors that you have to assess, right? Like, where did you make the movie? Did you make it there in your free time while you were working at Disney?
In the break room?
Did you use their technology? Yeah. Did you... what could it have been that they paid you for it, right? Because, there's some companies like Google, for instance, where they give you like free time at work to like play around and like be creative, right? So like if you're doing it in that sense, you're still working for that company and the scope of that company, right? So that's where it gets a little bit murky, and this is when you need to call up a lawyer and be like, I don't really know.
So I'm like, what if I was making it like on my lunch break?
Yeah,
but like I'm eating the company food.
Oh, company food, that doesn't really matter as much. But like, if you're working during a lunch break while you're still in the studio, right, and like taking concepts and ideas from something you're working on, right, then that's a bit murky. So that's one of the areas that's a big gray area. The other gray area that comes up is someone an employee or are they an independent contractor, right? Because independent contractor, we know that like you need a written agreement and you need to fall into one of the 9 categories. So a lot of people might try to argue like, no, actually they were an employee, and therefore we now own the work. So in order to figure out whether or not someone is an employee or a contractor, you kind of have to run through some factors. So while we were in law school, actually, so there's this famous case that went to Supreme Court, CCNV versus Reed, and they're the ones that kind of talk about work made for hire and the factors that had to be considered.
Because, like, corporations love to get out of stuff. So that's actually why this exists.
So the attorney and his client actually came to our class and talked about this case. And I don't actually know if you were in class that day, but... it was a great class, and it was great to talk to them.
Maybe I was there.
Yeah.
Who's to say?
But basically, so the question then becomes of like, are you a contractor or are you an employee?
I was there. It's coming back now.
So for instance, right, if I am like, I would like a sculpture made to be put outside of my house, like make it for me, and then you make it for me, and then I'm like,
I would make
I'm
it
like,
for you.
okay, well now I want to change it. Like the property owner, I'm like, I want to change the sculpture, and I want to do
didn't like
things
what I
different.
made.
Yeah, I want to do things differently.
She's so
and
critical.
I think I own the copyright to the sculpture, so I can do whatever I want. I can sell it to whoever I want. Like, you know, and there's no contract to define what happened between us, right? I just said make a sculpture, you said fine. So I'm over here thinking, oh, you're my employee.
Mm-hmm.
The sculpture is clearly mine, right? And you're like, no, I'm an independent contractor.
I labored. I had plans.
Yeah, you're like, I own the copyright.
Yeah.
Right? You can't just change my work or sell my work or X,
Yeah,
Y, Z.
This is my sculpture.
So then the question is like, how do you figure out whether or
Yeah.
not you're an employee or an independent contractor?
Is it 9 factors?
There's like a lot
There's
of
a lot.
factors.
It's
There
a lot
are.
of
It is like
factors.
9 factors or so.
I think so.
But one of them is like, how hands-on were you as a person
Was she
ordering
standing
the work?
there being like, move it this way, move it that way?
Yeah.
I don't like the way you did this, Sarah. Maybe do this like that.
Yeah, creative control is a really big thing. It's one of the most important factors of who had creative control in creating the work. Something else is like skills required. So if it's like a very niche thing, then that would be a
I
contract.
have a lot of
versus,
niche skills. So.
Yeah,
Clearly.
versus if it was just someone doing whatever, then maybe not so much. The source and the tools and the equipment used, as well as where the work was done.
I used her stuff to do it. I used my stuff to do it.
This is a big difference.
She has no stuff, so it would be my stuff.
So if you were like a contractor, for instance, right, and you made it at your house, you used your tools, that would be
Yeah.
the argument that you make, right?
Yeah, because I'm like, I did this all in my own studio with my own stuff, and then
Yeah.
I brought it to your house.
Yes.
Versus I did it and I built it in front of your house using your stuff.
Yeah. So this is another difference of like, is it an employer or contractor, right? So you would argue like, listen, I made this sculpture at my house, my tools, my studio, my time, right? And I'm over here like, if the situation was a bit different, I would argue, well, you did it. You made the sculpture on my property. I
Yeah.
paid for everything. I gave you all the tools.
Yeah.
I was the one telling you to paint this, change that, all that kind of stuff, right? Then I
Yeah.
would be like, I think you're actually my employee, not an independent contractor.
Yeah.
The other things that play a huge part that courts will consider is payment. Was I paying you, like, let's say, hourly, bi-weekly, or is it just one lump sum payment, right? If it's just one lump sum payment, it probably means you were a contractor.
Yeah.
And that you're not, my employee. Did I give you benefits, right? Did I give you health
Healthcare.
insurance and things like that? If I
Vision.
did,
Did she cover vision?
and if I did, I'm probably your employee or employer, not employee, employer. And if not, then you're probably an independent contractor. Taxes, they actually look at taxes. So if it's a W-2, the W-2s are for employee relationships, whereas I think it's a 1099. That's an independent contractor. So if you got that, then that's something else that you would show to be like, oh, I'm not an
It's
employee, I'm
different.
independent
We do different
contractor.
forms. Yeah, but they take all those things into account. And actually, although it sounds like kind of boring, I'm like, no offense, that wasn't boring. But like, if you think about the difference between employee and independent contractor, it actually is like everywhere. I know that Uber, that's like a huge thing. If you look into like what they're doing, they're always fighting like, are the drivers independent contractors or are they employees?
Yeah.
How does that work? It's their own car. They're driving, like they pick the jobs, but then Uber pays them. But, as I said, corporations want to get out of stuff. So essentially a lot of times they want to be like, they're independent contractors. We have no liability for what they do.
So it's very similar. It's like the same factors.
Same kind of factors
yeah.
that they consider, but it touches all different aspects of our lives, which we don't even realize. Like franchises.
Yeah. But yeah, so that is just one thing. That like when you're creating work, if you don't have something that's written, agreement, right? Which always have things in writing.
Write it down.
But if you don't, then these are the type of conversations that can come up of who owns the work. Is it two friends? Is it a joint authorship? Is it collective work? Is it a work made for hire? Is it an employee versus a contractor? So those are different types of authorship that you can have. So let's do a little pop quiz. It's kind of like
a little break from all of the.
Yeah. So it's gonna be like, did you retain everything we just said?
Are you asking me questions?
No, to the audience.
Oh,
It's gonna
okay.
be like Dora the Explorer. When she's talking and she's like, "Where's
The
this?"
map.
Yeah. And you're like, Dora, stop repeating it. Like, you got it.
Oh,
Okay.
ready.
Okay. So you're two pals together, right?
That's so
one of
us.
you is a photographer and one of you is a author and writes this blog post. You come together and you publish you take the picture and you put it up there, and then the other person takes the text for the blog post and they put it up there. Is this joint authorship? I'll give it like a 10 seconds to
pause?
think about it for the audience out there.
The way I want to verbally process right now.
Chances are this is not joint authorship because unless y'all had the intent that you were gonna have this blog
Work
post
together.
And create a combined work, it's not going to be joint authorship. It's going to be you had an amazing picture that you submitted, and someone else had a poem or some kind of text that they submitted to the blog, and they put it together. It's not that you had the intent to create that blog post. So probably not.
Probably not.
Okay, so you and your friend are in the studio. And you are trying to create this really, really cool song. So you're just, going back and forth with lyrics and creating the beat, and you're just having a jam session, basically. So what kind of authorship would that be? Do, 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 do.
Are we allowed to use that?
Stop midway. I'm like, is that a public domain or not? I think it would be, but maybe not.
Later conversation.
That's later conversation.
Okay, that should be enough
the
time.
jam session would probably be joint authorship because you have the intent
to collaborate,
and create a combined work. In this situation, a song. So that probably would be joint authorship. Okay. So you are an employee, and you are working for this mega huge movie company, and you're working in the scripts department. You help edit the scripts and whatnot, and you are writing an independent script at home. In the meantime, you sell that script and it becomes a huge movie. Can your employer be like, that's actually our script? Think about it. Give you a quick second to think about who is entitled to that work.
I'm having like flashbacks to you quizzing me in school.
Chances are in that situation, it is the person that wrote the script. They would be the owners of it. Unless you wrote the script at work, you're having your work colleagues help you, or at any point, if you had the intent that the script was going to be used by the company, that would be something else that they would consider, saying that you wrote this for the company, not for your own personal gains. But in this situation, since you're doing it completely outside of work, at home, has nothing to do with work, it's not going to be in the scope of employment, and you probably will be the owner of it. But again, it all comes down to it depends. As you said, as we've talked about, there's so many factors that go into it. So you need to get an attorney to figure it out. All right, let's move on. We talked a lot about authorship.
Yeah.
So let's go on to talk about originality and minimal creativity. Yeah, so tell us about that, sir. What is it?
Originality. Okay, so as we said, for a copyright, you need to have a tangible expression and a fixed form, but it also has to be creative or original. The word is original, and it needs to have minimal creativity because, like, what even is creative? Like, me sitting here right now, is any creative things happening if I start just saying random facts about my life? Is that creative? For me, yeah, it would be. But facts are not copyrightable. Facts are not creative enough to be copyrighted. But if I were to like put it down in like a specific order, like a really fancy, like, let's say a recipe. Let me pick a better example.
Yeah, so, there we go. I think people follow that.
Sorry. I was getting too creative.
Yeah.
That's what was happening. I was getting too creative. So let's say I get a recipe, and I'm like, okay, you need 2 eggs, some flour, whatever else you need. And I make a list, and I'm like, isn't this beautiful? Like, I am so creative. I have this recipe for a cake, and I'm going to copyright it. You cannot copyright recipes.
Boo.
No, you cannot, because it's basically just instructions. So you cannot copyright like facts, instructions, things of nature. I'll explain that more. But back to the recipes. So I know if you like look up cake recipes online, you'll see lots of recipes, different blogs, and they always have like these long life stories about like their grandma and like
how she passes recipe for this apple pie,
she, like,
years and years and years.
Crawled through a forest to bring this, and it's like, wow, that's great, but can you tell me how to make the cake? So the reason why that's all there is because that is copyrightable. If you put it in like a story form, essentially, if you're creative with the facts themselves and how you present them, that would be copyrightable. So next time you get annoyed when you're like, I don't care about your grandma, this
like,
cake
why
recipe,
am I reading this huge like 1-page story just to get to the recipe? And you're scrolling down.
It's because now that the recipe is copyrightable because of the way they presented the facts.
Yes.
So it's essentially like
Well, that post that they created is copyrightable, not necessarily the underlying.
Not the recipe.
Yeah.
So somebody else could take the same recipe, and if they put a whole other story
or
of how their own grandma, it's different. So this is back to the phone book case. So essentially, it always
we should have brought
one.
one.
We should have. I don't even know
where would you get a phone book?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
This day and age, maybe the library.
I was gonna say, do they?
Probably.
Why would the library? I don't know. If y'all have a copy of a phone book, send it in. We'll bring it in for the next.
The yellow pages. So on creativity, we're gonna talk about minimal creativity. So the phone book case. Mm-hmm. Basically, they were like, I can't believe you stole all of our hard work. We worked so hard on this, because they did. They went and they gathered all these phone numbers, and then somebody else took them. Court was like, I know that's kind of rough, man, because you did work really hard, but this is not creative enough.
Yeah.
Because they were like, it's just phone numbers. But if they were to put the phone numbers in like a different order, so you can't, like, if it's alphabetical, sorry, that's not creative enough. The court said that's not creative enough. But if you were to like categorize them in a way, and you're like, people who, I don't know,
plumbers,
like the color
doctors,
blue.
things like that.
She was thinking a lot more. I was like, people who like the color blue.
Oh yeah,
and you did it like that.
Yeah.
That would be copyrightable
because that's what exists, right? So you have the yellow pages and the white pages.
Yeah.
One of them is alphabetical order with all the phone numbers, not copyrightable, and then the other one is organized like doctors, plumbers, into categories. And because now you've taken the time to arrange it, right? The arrangement is what makes it now that you can copyright the book. Very similar to like the magazine, right? That we were talking about earlier, where if you're arranging the pictures and whatnot, right, then you can have that copyright.
It's got to be creative.
Yeah. So it's, but again, that is the threshold.
It's
so
minimal. It's
so little.
It's very little. But there's still things, like I said, with nature. Like if a tree falls in the forest and you go and you're like, look at this beautiful tree that fell. I'm going to make that a sculpture. I'm going to take this. This is a sculpture now. The tree falling is a sculpture. No, you didn't do that. Nature did that. You can't do that. But if Harneet takes a picture of the tree and she picks like the angle, the lighting, and everything like that, all of those things are artistic, creative choices that are considered above the minimal creativity threshold.
Yeah.
So there just has to be, just a little bit of creativity for it to be an original idea. And also, original idea doesn't mean that like only you can have it.
Yeah,
like I
it
said,
doesn't be like novel, right?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like
something else.
A genius idea.
Yeah, like a smiley face. Like for instance, like if I'm like drawing like a doodle, basically, right? That doodle is copyrightable.
Even if it's like boring and
there's like a billion other doodles that look very
creative.
Similar-esque to it. As long as I'm over here independently creating it and thinking about it, and I'm not just copying someone else's doodle, right?
Yeah.
Like,
but if we both, like, let's say Harneet draws a smiley face in her own style, and I draw a smiley face in my own style, but we both have smiley faces, we still both get copyrights on them.
Yeah.
Like, I just have a copyright for mine, and she has copyright for her own, even though they're the same thing.
Similar.
Probably
not the exact same.
Not the same thing, because I did it, and then she made her own.
Yeah. Similar.
It's still creative enough, and it's still separate, even though they're the same thing. So I can't be like, she stole my stuff.
And you need enough of something, right? So there's different thresholds for different types of artwork, right? So for instance, if you're writing a song, I talked about a little bit about this earlier, but if you just have one chord written, that's not enough, right?
If I just play the A chord, I'm like, song.
That's not enough.
They said that's not enough.
And I know there is actually some court case that says like how many notes.
Yeah.
It has. I can't think of the case at the top of my head at the moment, but it is out there.
It's in a lot because they go into essentially like the blurred lines case and stuff. They go into this is why it's important that you keep your songs like written down, because courts will be like, okay, let's look at your sheet music, or like let's listen to the recording. They go through all of this stuff and they're like, okay,
evidence. This is a different
yeah.
Always keep track of your stuff. But like I said, so originality and creativity, it is like a very low threshold. It's very easy to meet as long as you're not just blatantly like copying someone's work.
So you see those like modern art pieces that are just like a dot? It's creative enough.
Well, it depends. It still depends. Like there's
if there's like if
listen,
we're gonna get into a modern art discussion. If it's a giant dot, and I'm like, that's a void of feeling. And that's I did this on purpose. I picked that shade of blue. Actually, this is very important. But like, there is a modern art piece that's like just a blue painting, and people are like, "Wow, this is so stupid. I could do it myself."
Yeah.
But the reason why he has a copyright and everything is like he worked with scientists to like create a specific shade of blue.
Oh no!
And it's like that's actually
that invokes
pretty creative. no other blue exists except for this blue.
Oh, well.
So that's very creative. So don't just be like, oh, that's not creative enough. You never know what's behind it.
Like I said,
That was
minimal,
a different
minimal creativity.
Minimal. Yeah.
Okay, so to recap, right?
Yeah.
You need to have an expressed, not an idea, but an expressed.
It needs to be tangible.
Yes, tangible, fixed. And you need to make sure you figure out who the authors are for this work that you're working on. And it has to be original. But other than that, easy. So easy now.
Yeah, really easy.
To work. So that wraps up everything we're going to be talking about this week.
Yeah.
Next week, we're going to actually give a lot more practical advice, and we're going to go through the different registration forms on the copyright website, what you need to file, what are the filing fees, what are some nonprofits that you can reach out to that will help you pay for your copyright.
Because people do that.
Yeah, and there's some great organizations out there.
Lawyers have pro bono hours.
Yes, that some of them would love
Some
to help
states
you.
require lawyers to help. So
yes. So we'll go through all of that. So next week, if you have something that you want to get a registration on, open up your laptop while listening to the podcast. But that's all we have for this week.
Yeah.
And that is the Creative Workshop Series by Human Studios. Thanks, y'all.
Yay.